Hey guys, I'm Vicky. Thanks for visiting me today. I have a bunch of seeds that I've been working on. Well, not seeds anymore, small plants that I am putting in bigger pots. So it's called up-potting. And this just gives them more room to grow. I like to have my peppers and tomatoes a pretty decent size by the time they go out, because it just helps them get off to a really good start being well grown. At least where I live, that works. And I mean, I live in New Jersey, so tomatoes are gonna work here no matter what. I mean, we're the garden state and we're that for a reason. We have really good weather to grow them in, and mine will grow all the way from the time I put them in to till frost. Till they freeze, they will grow, produce, as long as they're determinate. The humidity doesn't knock them out, or the heat or anything. It doesn't get that bad here. It can get really hot, it can get really warm, but not so hot like the South, where they end up fighting a lot of disease and humidity. So here we have really great weather, but I just feel like I get off to a better start if I have a decent size plant to put out. So that is what I do. Anyway, we're here today because I wanted to talk to you about why I'm doing this and how many plants I'm growing. Now, I saw a post on a Facebook group that I'm a part of, and they were saying that they sell their extra seedlings, and they do it on purpose every year. They grow more than they can use, so that they can make some money off of selling the little plants. And so they were out scouting to see what pricing is this year, because they like to keep underneath all the pricing at the big box stores, so that, because they're not growing at that scale, nor do they need to make a huge profit from it. So anyway, they were scouting out the stores, and they said that most of the stores were $6 per plant. Per plant! And the cheapest they could find was $5 per plant. Well, let me tell you, it would have cost me over $6,000 to get all these plants if I didn't grow them by seed, and I spent not even close to that. So I don't know how they get their numbers. I guess maybe because it's only once a year and it can be kind of a loss if they lose plants. I don't know, but that is insane. If you grow your plants from home, you will not even spend, I think I reused all my stuff, that, like my pots and stuff I reused. Some of these I bought from the dollar store, but I don't know, maybe $20 worth of this stuff. These things can be reused a lot, and then, if you do have to purchase them, it's still not even comparable. This whole thing is $8. This tray and the watering tray is $8. And your packet of seeds is $2 to $5. So I don't know where how those numbers get into play, because that is not how you're supposed to determine pricing. But then again, so many places have said that you know, companies have taken advantage of inflation and raised their prices whether they needed to or not, and now they're seeing record profits, which makes them happy because people still have to pay for some things that maybe they feel like they will for this because food prices are so high. So maybe they're just taking advantage of the consumers. And that's really, really sad if that's the case. And I just have kind of a strong feeling that that is what's going on because, like I said, I did just grow over 1,000. I've been growing over 1,000 plants this year, and not even close. You're supposed to double your cost and then add in wage time, and I just don't see how I get up to that price. Unless I'm like the highest paid planter in the world, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. So, just some thoughts. Anyway, so I'm up potting these peppers right now, and I had planted them in these little tiny seedling ones. You get like 6 per set. Oh my goodness, can't think of the word of what these are. 6 cells per part, or sometimes I cut them into 4. In a whole tray, you get 72 cells. So the cells are really tiny, and they are great for starting season because you can cut them into whatever amount you want. And then what I like to do is once they've sprouted, remove the sprouted ones, the trays with the sprouted ones, and put them in my bigger greenhouses. And that works really nicely. But then you get to the point where these plants have grown, if you've planted them early enough, and they start drying out really fast because the plants are getting bigger and they're soaking up more of that water, and there's not that much soil in it. So you get to the point where you either need to up pot or you need to pay. You need to baby these plants. And let me tell you, there's a lot going on in this house. A lot of activities to be done. We have 3 kids. We cook a lot from scratch, and we homeschool. There is not time to baby my seedlings. So up potting they go. I don't know if those ones are gonna sprout too well. These are really tiny. I think and this one has extra leaves. And this one is really tiny. Might not have had a good enough start. And that is to be determined. Alright, now I do have these I can put in here. Alright, so back to growing 1,000 plants. That is crazy, right? I never thought this would happen. I have turned into the plant lady, just like the cat lady. I'm like the plant lady. It's crazy. But I love it. I love getting fresh food from our backyard. It's like, let's go grocery shopping in the backyard. It's pretty cool. It's just fun in the summer to know that you have a source of food, and it really kind of makes you eat, it definitely makes you eat more healthy because you're like, oh, look what I grew, we gotta eat this, this is so cool, I grew this, you know, like I took the seed packet, or I took this plant, I gave it some dirt, some light, some nutrients, and in return, it gave me this beautiful vegetable, or this beautiful fruit that I can eat. I just think that's so amazing. Such a miracle to see happen. So it makes me very excited. Hey girl.
Hi.
I have been gardening for definitely over 12 years. Can't remember exactly what year I started, but I remember my neighbor. I moved into a house and my lovely neighbors gave me some beans that they grew. And she said, I grew this in my backyard. You've got to have some. I have tons of them. And I'm like, you grew these? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, holy cow, that's amazing. And so then she gave me like an onion seed bulb thing. So put this in your ground. Well, I put it in the ground, but then I ran out of onion one time and I went out and harvested it. Which it was too early, but I mean, I could eat it. There was nothing wrong with it. It was bigger than it was when it went in the ground. But I didn't wait long enough. So then the next year, I got some bean seeds and I grew my beans. And I thought, wow, this is really amazing. Like, oh my goodness, you just pop these in the ground and life forms. Like, so cool. And so from there, I did some cucumbers. What else did I start with? Some lettuce. And then I bought plants. I bought pepper plants, I bought tomato plants, and then maybe the next year after that I started expanding a little bit more, have a little bit more plants out there, and each year just got a little bit bigger. And then I got to the point where I was like, you know, we could grow a lot of our food. We know how to do that. I know how to do this. I could do it. And so here I am, 1,000 plants. And you might be saying, why are you growing 1,000 plants? Like, you don't need to grow 1,000 plants to eat in the summer. And yeah, you're right, I don't. But I want to. And with growing 1,000 plants, plus plants actually, I can preserve a lot of that for different parts of the year. So we won't just be eating from the garden one part of the year or one season of the year. We will eat from it the entire year. So this past fall, winter, and so far spring, I haven't bought any peppers. We did run out of tomato sauce very quickly. Giant Aconcagua pepper? I don't even remember what it was. I love variety. I'm like, if I get to pick seeds and grow from seed, then I get to choose the varieties. So I have picked tons of different, unique, good-looking things to try. And I'm sure it's gonna be super tasty. Alright, so where was I? I don't need to grow 1,000 plus plants, but I want to. And then you have to look at like what are you getting out of each plant? Okay, so some things I can get multiple harvests and lots of food from, like peppers, tomatoes, beans. They're all going to produce more than one piece of fruit or vegetable for me in return for one plant. But some things like broccoli, cauliflower, celery will grow a little bit extra, but not, I try to like harvest it as we want to eat it, and not so much so it'll keep growing, but it does have an ending point. If you harvest it all, it's going to take a while to get it back. So, you want to have like a lot of celery plants growing so that you can get continuous harvests. If, you know, like we eat celery like every day, so I need a lot of plants for that. And then tomato plants, even though I get more than one tomato from each plant, I am gonna need a lot of tomatoes in order to get the amount I need to make my canned goods like pasta sauce, pizza sauce, and salsa, and all those things, so that I also have tomatoes to do other things with and have fresh tomatoes. Did it on peppers, but that's alright. If I have extra, I'm sure I have family or friends that will be more than happy to take them off my hands. And if you're one of those, comment on the video, and I will make sure that I save some of my extras for you. Growing many varieties of peppers. I'm growing small snacking peppers, hot peppers, mild peppers, bell peppers, large peppers in lieu of some bell peppers. So we'll see what we get during the year, and we can evaluate which ones are keepers and which ones are not so much keepers. There's quite a few that I'm growing that I've grown before because I really do love them, but there's a lot of new ones I'm trying this year as well. So this one here is called the tangerine pepper, and I've grown this a few times. It's really good. Kind of like the glow pepper. Nice and sweet. Not a big pepper. Kind of reminds me of those, like the little peppers you can get in the pack at the grocery store, and they come in like red, yellow, orange. You snack on them. Kind of like that, but just orange. So anyway, if you've read my descriptions or seen any of my other videos, I have a freeze dryer, I pressure can, I water bath can, I will freeze, dehydrate. I don't really ferment things. I don't know. Never tried it, and maybe I will in the future, but for right now, I like the ways that I do get through, so I'll leave it at that. When you grow a large amount of food, when the stuff starts coming in, you're going to be processing a lot of food and taking a lot of time to kind of put it together, but I don't find it to be overwhelming, because a lot of the times I actually just would prep it earlier in the day, and then after I made dinner I would do the canner. But you know, you gotta do what works for you. If you need quick sources, hands-off sources of saving your foods, like freeze drying is a great way, or just throwing them in the freezer. And dehydrating, pretty hands-off. You could put it on and not have to do that much while it's going. But if you have some time to put into canning and pressure canning, then it really is an easy solution for when you go to use things. They can be like totally prepared, and it'll just be convenient. Like I made beef stew last year canned with my foods and that I grew. And so during the winter, we've kind of been eating at that. And all I do is throw it in a pot for like 10 minutes to warm it up, and it is absolutely delicious. So, you know, you have to think of how you're going to use it, but also what time do you have to put into doing these things. As far as weeding, I don't really remember spending that much time weeding. Maybe at night, an hour or so here and there. But I like mulch around everything, so mulching really helps. crops. My worst weed is thistle. It's like always trying to take over everywhere. Very hard to get rid of. This is a new one here, Lesia pepper. It says it's like one of sweetest tasting peppers, so I'm really excited to try that. Pippin's Golden Honey Pepper. Oh, I'm excited about that. And if you have time, on Baker's Creek, I believe they have kind of like a historical background to this pepper. So if you're interested in those kinds of things, then I'm sure there's a very interesting read to go along with this. I haven't had the chance to read up on it yet, but I definitely want to. So to get back on track with our 1,000 plants, I grow a lot because I like variety. I like variety in the fact that I don't want just tomatoes and peppers in my garden. I also want beans and leeks and eggplants and all kinds of different things. Potatoes. Something I'm trying this year is sweet potatoes. I tried it last year, but I couldn't get it to sprout in time, so I had to kind of throw in the towel on that one. But this year I tried a different method. The sweet potatoes grew lots of sprouts. I mean, I just used one sweet potato. I have already gotten multiple, like a lot of plants on them. And then I put, once I got the plant, the leaves growing, I cut them off, took cuttings, and put them in water, and now they have roots already starting just a few days later. So, really exciting. I'm definitely going to get the sweet potato plants this year. Another thing that I'm trying is wheat. And I'm not growing wheat to have like a big wheat harvest, because you would have to grow a lot of wheat, and that's just not going to happen here. But I thought it would just be fun to try something different, and that was something that I thought, ooh, that would be really cool. Like, let's grow some wheat and make a loaf of bread from the backyard. Cool. So there you have it. My goals with growing 1,000 plus plants is to get a lot of food from the summer from it, or throughout the summer from it, and to be able to preserve a lot for the off season. It's really exciting. Lots of food plans coming with our garden harvest, and I will definitely keep you in the loop on that. Here's the Ace Sweet. It's a sweet bell pepper. So I rented a book from the library that talked about like how much you need to grow for your family's needs. You know, depending on what you like, how many people there are, how much you eat a week, how much you want to use in recipes, all kinds of good and knowledgeable things. Over on Three Rivers Homestead, they've talked about, or she's talked about, the planning of your garden. And, you know, like, if you're looking at it from a canning perspective, this is how much you need to have to make this. Like, now multiply by how many of those cans you want, and that gives you a minimum baseline. Well, because I'm growing then you can decide what your goals are and your plans, and based off of that, know like, okay, I have to do X, Y, and Z plants to feed us fresh, to preserve, and then you kind of know what you need, and then sometimes I just go off with what I want. So maybe I get a little excited when I'm starting my seeds and I start more than I need to. And that's okay too. You also have to look at how much space you have. I have a pretty big garden. I actually have 3 gardens. We have a new one this year because I ran out of space last year and could not plant some of the things that I had tried to fit. And so I'm hoping to have resolved that issue. I drew out like a template, and I drew out like everything that could go where with the proper spacing, and I think I got it figured out. I think I have the right amount of space, and I will see how much food I get out of it and evaluate if that's the right method. So one of my gardens, so I started another one this year that I've been working on since last year. Now, I didn't just like overnight decide I'm gonna have another garden, because you don't want to be too spontaneous with it, because you want to make sure you can keep up with it. So last year we started taking out the rocks that we thought we would use as a patio, like an extra, like a bonfire sort of hangout area, which we never ended up using, and it kept growing a lot of weeds because it's just rocks there, and kind of turned into like a disaster. So we cleaned that out, we mulched really heavy, and I put up fencing recently, and we are going to get all our rows composted and fertilized, and then they will be ready for planting. So that garden should be, I also have to move the door. So that should be like 100% ready by May. But my other gardens are ready. And my back garden, which is my original, the OG, Garden OG, that will be getting reduced in size because the other one is very large, almost as large as the one I started last year, or 2 years ago. Last year was its first growing season. I call it my front garden, the newer one from last year. And then the one that we just started this year, that we're going to grow in for the first time this year, that one I call the pool garden because it's right next to our pool that we got. So exciting stuff.